So, for the benefit of those of you who are very new to the concept of the pixel, I'm going to spend a little bit of time to kind of explain to you what the purpose of the pixel is for and essentially how it works. So, let's start by looking at a typical use case scenario. So you're running Facebook ads, or in this case, a Facebook ad. Another Facebook ad, and you're driving traffic essentially with both ads to what is known as a landing page. And for good measure, you always want to have another page that is known as the thank you page. Within your landing page, assuming you're doing lead generation, you're going to have a form where you're going to accept registrations and the form data will essentially be sent to your email marketing platform, and your email marketing platform pretty much will send out emails. Like so. So this is the basic example of a flow if you are embarking on lead generation, which is basically collecting an email address, being able to send them an email to nurture them, and to get them from know to like to trust. So, where does the pixel come in? Well, it needs to come in from anywhere outside the Facebook environment. So, I'm drawing a red color dotted line, and to the left of the dotted line is basically the Facebook environment. And this is where you interact with a Facebook ad, whether on the news feed on the right hand side, or Instagram, or even on the audience network, which is technically outside Facebook but still tracked by the Facebook audience network environment itself. So you see, without a pixel, as long as your visitor is within the Facebook environment, and let's say, for example, they remain in your environment, and a Facebook ad technically brings them to a Facebook post, and in the post is a video, and technically this becomes a video view. Now, as long as the asset involved, in this case a Facebook post, is within the Facebook environment, because your Facebook page, your Facebook group, your post of a video on your Facebook page, they're all within the Facebook environment, there is no issue with Facebook's ability to track behavior. In this case, who is watching the video for how long, and so on and so forth. They already have the data. So there's no need for a pixel because it is hosted. The video is hosted on a Facebook platform, and Facebook has access to all these assets. The problem comes when we send a visitor to an external environment outside Facebook. So an example would be your landing page or your website. So if they end up on your website, Facebook no longer has visibility of their actions. Now, if they do not have visibility of your visitors' actions outside the environment, then it serves to reason that they cannot now attribute the prospects' activities back to your ads, and hence the need for the pixel. So think of the pixel, which we will denote in blue, which is really a line of code. So it's basically code. And the base code, as is known, is a line of code that Facebook requires you to place on every page of the website. Now, why every page? Because we do not know which page your visitor is going to navigate to. So let's say you have a large e-commerce website and you have different categories from toys to baby clothing to bicycles, for example, right? Toys, baby clothing, bicycle. Because you have the base code on every page of your website, Facebook now has visibility because they know which visitor is a Facebook user, and that happens not as the result of the pixel, but as a result of the Facebook cookie, which is a small invisible file that is placed on a Facebook user's computer the moment they log in to Facebook. And that's the reason why you don't have to log in every time you access Facebook, because the cookie is on your computer that recognizes you and authenticates your access privilege. Now, of course, the moment you remove the cookie from your computer, assuming you know where to find it, then Facebook has no recollection of you, and you'll be asked to log in again. And that's the reason why you don't want to be clearing your cookies too often, because if not, you end up having to re-log in to almost every online platform, and that becomes very cumbersome. So we call this the persistent cookie or non-expiring. And some sites have expiring cookies, so you couldn't hang out on the site for more than 3 hours before they kick you out and force you to log in again. And while good for security and privacy, it is really negative user experience, especially for a site that you frequent so often, multiple times a day. Can you imagine having to log into Facebook every time you access Facebook? It will lead to a horrible user experience and negatively affect the amount of daily active users and monthly active users that choose to want to navigate on Facebook. So, from a practical perspective, Facebook basically loads a persistent cookie, a non-expiring cookie, and as long as you don't change computers, you will never be asked to log in again. Or unless maybe there's a security risk or security breach and then they force everybody to log out, but those occurrences are rare. So, as long as the cookies on your computer, they identify you as a user, they know your user ID, then when you use your computer to navigate to other people's websites, the moment you navigate to somebody else's website, they recall the cookie that's on your computer, they know who you are, and now the question is, well, what are you doing on that website? Are you, for example, visiting the toys section? If you're visiting the toy section, which toy are you looking at? For example, toy A, B, or C, where A is on page A, toy B on page B, and toy C on page C. Because the cookie is site-wide on every single page, Facebook is now able to track the fact that you landed on a web page, you browse not just a toy section, but you also browse toy A. And don't forget that from an e-commerce perspective, they know whether you purchase because there is a cart page. There's a checkout page. And there's also a thank you page in e-commerce. So they can now track your user journey because you came to the toy page, you looked at page A, and from here they can infer whether or not you went through the cart, you went to the checkout, and you went through thank you. Now, if you didn't go through thank you, then they know that you abandoned at checkout because the pixel tracks you all the way to checkout, but not thank you. In this case, they know you didn't purchase, and this is the magic of marketing automation. In fact, platforms like Shopify today can detect that you landed as far as checkout, but you didn't go to thank you. And now they will send you an email to try to get you to complete the sale. And it triggers an email within 1 hour that says, hey, you left something in the cart and you haven't checked out. Here's the link to complete your checkout process. And this is triggered automatically through marketing automation. And all these activities are basically detected by the pixel itself or the e-commerce platform where they also track your user. So e-commerce is a bit more complicating, but when it comes to lead generation, so let's draw the path again. Facebook ad to user sees the ad, clicks on the ad, lands on the landing page, fills up the form, registers, now sees the thank you page. Now, at this point in time, the thank you page is just another page on the website as far as the pixel is concerned, which is why you want to be able to differentiate the thank you page from all other pages, which are content pages, and how we do it is via the addition of an additional code, which is known as a standard event. And we get to define the standard event. In this case, I'm going to be using complete registration. And what it is basically an additional line of code with a counter that counts the number of refreshes of the thank you page. Because the thank you page is a special page that no one visits unless they successfully register, because the path is from registration to the thank you page. Now, obviously, you don't want to be placing your thank you page URL on your navigation or on your footer, because you don't want someone to accidentally visit the thank you page. Because if they accidentally visit the thank you page, then this pixel standard event complete registration will fire, because it fires based on a page load, and the counter now increases. So you always want to make sure that the thank you page is nowhere visible and it's not linked from any page except your form. And your form links not even directly, it links as a form of a redirect. So what happens when someone completes the form, we tell the email system, hey, when someone completes form, redirect to thank you page. And therefore, in case you're asking, where is the setup? How does completion of the form prospect land on the thank you page? And this is defined in the email system, not on Facebook. Why? Because when you complete the form, the control right now is with the email system. So when you click register, the email system has been set up. We set it up, by the way, and we say, look here, when someone completes the form, please redirect them to the thank you page. And that's why after the form is processed, the email system takes them to the thank you page. The thank you page loads. The pixel is part of the thank you page. The event is part of the thank you page. The event fires, and the counter now increases by 1. And because we know this user fired the thank you page, we also know that this thank you page was triggered to the form and traced back to ad number 2. And in this case, ad number 2, which has a unique ID, will be attributed the conversion. And don't forget that ad number 2 is linked to some ad set that triggered the ad. And the ad set is linked back to the campaign, which the ad set was set up under. So we know which campaign, which ad set, which ad basically created this conversion. Now, in case you're asking, does this user need to be a Facebook user? This user does not need to be a Facebook user. It can be a Facebook user. In the case that it is a Facebook user, the data point now helps Facebook identify other users. If the user is not a Facebook user, then the standard event, which is complete registration, still fires. But if the user is not a Facebook user, then obviously Facebook can't do anything about this, but it will still report the data back to the corresponding campaign ad set and Facebook ad. So in summary, the pixel is necessary to give Facebook or the platform eyes external to the environment for the purpose of being able to correctly attribute the conversion event. So to attribute the conversion event back to the correct campaign, ad set, and ad. So this is the long and short of the pixel. Why is the pixel needed? And how the pixel helps in terms of attribution of conversion events.